get started. So yes, thank you very much for joining us today. This is our webinar for pre-arrival for University of Strathclyde International Study Centre. So in this webinar, we'll give you all the information that you need to start your intake in November for the enhanced induction. So my name is Gemma. You can see my name there on the screen. I work for Study Group. Study Group is the international education provider that supports and runs the International Study Centre at University of Strathclyde. My role is Head of Partner Student Recruitment, and yeah, I will be taking you through the webinar today along with my colleagues that you can see here on the screen. So I will pass over to Alex to introduce himself.
Hi everyone, so my name's Alex. I'm the Central Student Support Coordinator responsible for helping students coming to Strathclyde ISC. So basically I'm your main point of contact for if you have any questions about anything before you arrive, and I'll be in touch with you regards accommodation and getting set up for your studies before you need to begin.
Thanks, Alex. And we have Ruta as well joining us from the International Study Centre. Ruta, if you want to just say a few words.
Yeah, good morning everyone. My name is Ruta and I'm the Acting Head of Student Experience here at Strathclyde ISC. I have an amazing team around me to help you when you join us in November to achieve your goals. So don't be afraid, you'll be well taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruta. And lastly, we have our progressed student. So that means that they have finished their study at the International Study Centre and have gone on to the University of Strathclyde. Lean. So Lean, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Lean and I'm a second year student. I'm studying politics and international relations in Strathclyde University.
Thank you, Lean. So Lean is going to be supporting us today on the webinar of giving you a little bit more insight on her experience at the International Study Centre and her experience at the university. So really great to have Lean on the call joining us today to talk to you about that. Great, so we will get started now. Just a few housekeeping things is that we will do a Q&A at the end. So any questions that you've got, just look down to your toolbar there and you'll see a Q&A button. So you can type those in as we go. We might be able to answer those as we go along. We might be able to type the answers or at the end, we will be able to answer those live. At the end, if you want to come off mute and you want to ask a question live, that's absolutely fine. And just to say that the presentation that you will see today, you will get an email copy of this, and we will also be sending you a recording. So anything that you want to go over again in a bit more detail, or you wanted to look at the things that were on that slide, you will have that information sent to you. Okay, so during this session, what we will cover today is your next steps. So these are the things to be thinking about before getting ready to start in November. The CAS deadlines, that's quite important. So that is the deadlines for each country when you will need to have that CAS in hand. CAS stands for Confirmation of Acceptance of Study, and that is the document that you need to apply for your visa. So there is a date that we expect you to have completed all of your conditions, made all your necessary payments, or given us your financial guarantee letter, signed your acceptance letter, and to have that CAS in your hand ready to apply for your visa. Then we'll tell you a little bit more about where you're going to be going to study. So where University of Strathclyde is based is in Scotland, so that's the north of the UK, and the university is based in the city of Glasgow. The International Study Centre is on campus. We are an embedded partnership with the University of Strathclyde, so all students that go to the International Study Centre will only progress to the University of Strathclyde when they meet their entry requirements, and that's what they choose to do. Then we'll tell you a bit more about the University of Strathclyde, about the International Study Centre, what to expect when you arrive. Alex will take you through your accommodation piece as well, and we'll tell you a bit more about what you do as the November enhanced induction, because you have a slightly different timetable from November. And then in January, you start doing your academic modules and your academic English modules as well. And then we'll go over the scholarships that are available. So if you're still waiting to make that payment and you need a bit of support with a discount, then we do have scholarships available. So we'll tell you a bit more about those. We'll have those one-to-one meetings with the centre staff and next steps. So your next step. So if you're on the call today and you haven't already confirmed your place, you need to provide all your relevant documents. So once you've met all the conditions, you've provided those documents. These could include a copy of your passport, your English proficiency test, your high school transcripts, or if you are applying for the pre-masters programme, then your bachelor's and your bachelor certificate. So you need to supply all of those. When you've submitted your application, or whether it's your agent that has submitted your application, you will get an offer letter in principle, and this will have the conditions on there that you will need to fulfill in order to have an unconditional offer letter. So you will need to meet the entry requirements for the course that you are applying for. We have academic entry requirements that are specific to subjects we require for the course that you're going to do, and then for the country that you are coming from, for the curriculum that you are presenting with, there will be an overall score that we expect you to get, equally within your subject specifics as well. And your English test will need to meet the level required that's published on the website as well. If you are applying for our undergraduate foundation degree programs, or our international year 2 program, then these will be on a study group CAS, which means you will need to supply a CELT, a secure English language test. So that's an English language test that is accepted by the UKVI, the UK Visa and Immigration. If you are applying for a pre-masters programme, then that is a little bit more flexible. It still will be on a study group CAS, but if you are applying for a pre-masters and your programme is under 6 months long, then there is flexibility. We can accept other tests, not just the CELT, so not just the secure English language test or the UKVI. So it's always good to just check the website and see what English language tests are accepted, check in with your agent, or equally you can check with our admissions service. So then what you need to do if you haven't confirmed your place, but you have met all those conditions, is that you will need to pay your confirmation fee. Equally, you can pay your confirmation fee before supplying the rest of the documents for the conditions. So if you really want to confirm your place, you're ready to confirm your seat, you can do that, and then you can provide the documents that we're waiting for as we go. Just to say though, that just because you paid the fee, if any of the documents that you supply mean that you aren't meeting those conditions, as I said, you might not be meeting the entry requirement conditions, then that means you won't be able to actually enroll and take your seat. You will need to be an unconditional confirmation holder. So yeah, you know, a lot of students do pay their fee because they want to confirm their place, but just to note, you will need to supply all the documents that are pending. You will need to meet those entry requirements. If you have confirmed your place but you have not yet received your CAS, so that's that confirmation of acceptance of study document that I talked about that you will need to use to apply for your visa, then you may have a few things to do. You may need to attend a pre-CAS interview if you come from you're domiciled and your country of residence is a country where we need to check your motivation to study, we need to check your financial background, we need to check that you are well supported in order to be in the UK for the amount of time that your study requires you to be here. So these are specific countries that the UK Visa Immigration Service require students to have an interview on that basis. So do find out from your agent or our admission service if that is something you will need to do, and you'll be invited to the interview on a pre-booked date. And if then you might not have received your CAS because there are some tuition fees that are due. So there's a confirmation payment. That's the payment that you make in order to confirm that you want to join the University of Strathclyde International Study Centre. And then there is a payment plan on your offer letter, and you will need to make the necessary payments that are required on the dates on that payment plan. So there is a first instalment that you will need to pay, and there will be remainder fees that you need to pay before you arrive. So you may need to do that. That might be a reason why you have not yet received your CAS. So do check your offer letter, do check your payment plan, and check you've met those deadlines. Some of the information that you might still need to provide, which is why you've not received your CAS, might be that you have previously studied in the UK, and we need to receive that information about your previous study. So we will need to know where you studied, we will need your CAS from that previous study, we will need your visa, we will need your BRP, and we will need a declaration that you are happy for us to look into your visa history. This is all for us to check that you have enough time on your visa to do another course for the length of time that you need to be here. And obviously we just need to check that all of that was in place as well. So you might need to provide those documents. You might be pending telling us what you are doing with your insurance. So you don't have to take out insurance, it isn't mandatory. We do recommend it. But if you are going to be sorting that for yourself, you're not going to be choosing the study care insurance that we provide, or you aren't going to be taking out an insurance policy, you will need to complete a declaration form. So that might be pending, and that might be a reason that you have not got your CAS. You might not have provided a full emergency contact detail. So you might have just put a telephone number and the name of a person that's an emergency contact. Well, that's not enough. We will need the address as well. Equally, if you are under 18 years old, we will need 2 emergency contact details, and the details have to be unique. So it has to be 2 separate people, and you have to have 2 unique telephone numbers to you. The address can be the same if they're living in the same address, but the email and the telephone number must be unique to those 2 contacts. So perhaps your emergency contact details are not complete, so you might need to check that. And your living arrangement confirmation form. So before you arrive in the UK, you have to have a secure permanent address. You can't turn up and just live in a hotel. In order to enrol and register in the centre, you will need to have a permanent UK address. So you will need to complete that living arrangement confirmation form. That living arrangement confirmation form lets us know what you are going to be doing in terms of your living arrangement. You might be sorting that out through us, and therefore connecting with Alex and the Central Student Support Team to arrange that accommodation, or you might be independently sourcing your own accommodation. Well, that's where the living arrangement form will come in, because you will be telling us that you will be doing that. There are conditions for students that are living not choosing our accommodation. We would expect students to be living within a commutable distance to the International Study Centre. We say about an hour. Travelling distance outside of the International Study Centre would be acceptable. The Central Student Support Team can tell you a bit more details about that when we go through. Then once you've completed all of those things, you will get a CAS preview if you are a sponsored student and your government you've got a government scholarship, and they will be the ones that will be financially supporting your study. You don't do this step. Once we receive the financial guarantee letter from you, you get issued a CAS straight away. You don't need to check all of the details on the CAS. So that's the arrangement for sponsored students that have a government scholarship. If you are privately funding your studies, so you're paying for it yourself, then what we will ask you to do is complete a CAS preview. So the CAS preview just details everything that will then be the details in the final CAS. So you just need to check you're happy with all those details, and you'll need to check all the boxes that say that all of those conditions up there have been fulfilled. So if you haven't previously studied in the UK, you don't need to check that off. But if you have, you will need to, and then you'll need to make sure you provided those documents. And then lastly, you will need to submit your financial documents. So you must have funds in your account for at least 28 consecutive days. So the CAS deadlines for a November start. So yeah, you can find those CAS deadlines that I talked about on the right there. So basically what we're saying is that the start date for the programme is, I can't remember it off the top of my head. I feel like it's the 25th of November. We'll probably get to that bit in a minute. So we have a start date for the programme, and then based on the amount of time that it takes for each of your countries, to actually process a visa, we say that we expect you to have that CAS ready by a date, so you've got enough time for that visa to be processed and for you to arrive by the start date of the November intake. So if you look at each column, you'll see that the dates change slightly. So if you are coming from any of the countries there on the first column, then you'll need to have your CAS in hand by the 20th of October, because for those countries, it takes a little bit longer for the visa to get processed. But if we go all the way over to the last column here, these are countries in Europe where it doesn't take so long for the visa to get processed, and you won't need your CAS in hand until the 10th of November. So just some important notes that you can see in that blue box there. Later CAS deadlines may be available if you are using a super priority or priority visa service. So not every country these services are available. Some countries you only have a standard visa processing service. So that means you can't pay any extra to have your visa fast-tracked. But for some countries, your visa, if you pay a little bit more money, you go into a priority fast-tracking service. So if you are from a country where that is available, you're not able to make that standard deadline that you can see here in the table, and you are going to pay that bit of extra money, you are going to use that super priority or that priority service, you just need to contact our admissions. But actually, it's not just, you have to contact our admissions. That's a rule. You have to tell our admissions that you're going to be using that service, and that means we can then allow your CAS to be processed at a later date. Again, there will be a deadline assigned to it on the time that we know that those visas take. So for the priority visa service, in some countries, that means that a visa can take about 2 weeks, whereas the standard one, it might be 4. And the super priority can be available within 5 to 7 days. So that means your CAS, we will then issue that within that time to make sure that you're there. For United Kingdom onshore students already in the UK, the CAS deadline is the 17th of November. So that means if you are a British passport holder, or you are in the UK, then if you are requiring of a CAS because you are a national overseas, then that deadline is the 17th of November. So here are the CAS deadlines for the January start. Oh yes, sorry, I think I said at the beginning this is about November, but equally, if you are going to be starting in January, we will be taking you through the pre-arrival guidance as well for the January start. So yeah, if you are a student today that is going to be joining our January intake, we'll be taking you through that as well. So here are the CAS deadlines for the January start. So same principle as we just went through. And if you are in the UK, you're onshore, your CAS deadline will be the 29th of December. So once you've received your CAS, before you join us, there are some key things that you will need to do. So you will need to apply for your visa, you'll need to secure your accommodation and receive your room allocation. Alex will take you through that in a bit more detail. You'll need to pay the required fees by the deadline in your statement and ensure you've met all the conditions on your offer that we've been through. You'll need to book your travel. We would advise that you do this once you have your visa. That's just to the assurance there that you are ready to arrive. So you aren't going to have any issues there or any loss if you book your travel before you've actually got that visa in hand. You must arrive in time for the first day of term and your induction, and we will be going through that, what those start dates are for November and for January intake as well. You will need to complete your pre-registration form on the Welcome Hub. This is really important. The pre-registration form is the same principle as you would do before you check in for a flight. So you must complete it. It tells us about your travel plans. You must put your accommodation address in there. So as I said earlier, you must have a secure UK permanent address, and that will need to go in the pre-registration form as well. And we will need to put your up-to-date contact information in there, because you might have applied a very long time ago, and the information that we have might not necessarily be up to date. Or if you've applied through an education agent, they might not have put all of your complete contact details. So it is very important that you do fill that out. And you will need to check that your passport is valid for at least 6 months. from your programme start date. So from the date the programme starts, you'll need 6 months on that passport from there. And you might need to request a taxi transfer if you need one. So you can do this via the pre-registration form and book it online. A taxi transfer is a taxi that will come and get you from the airport and take you to your accommodation. So that is something you can do via the pre-registration form. And any questions, you will need to contact our Central Student Support Team on that email that you can see there in bold and in blue at the bottom. So it is strathclyde.isc.css@studygroup.com. Okay, so I'm now going to hand over now to Ruta, who is going to tell you a little bit more about what Scotland is like.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so we are looking forward to welcome you here in Scotland. I myself came here 13 years ago as an international student. So Scotland is very rich in scenery, castles, various sort of hills, and we have a beautiful Edinburgh Castle, Stirling Castle. We can see here few pictures from the scenery as well. Scotland has a variety of restaurants, so you can try any sort of food, from Scottish food to Indian, Asian, Southeast Asian, Eastern European, and so on. We can go to next slide. So these are several of traditional Scottish events. So Barnes Night is to celebrate a famous Scottish poet. We also have Highland Games, pipe sort of events. We have a military event called Edinburgh Tattoo, and Hogmanay. So Hogmanay is just another Scottish name for New Year's Eve. Can go to another slide. Okay, so Scotland, and especially Glasgow and Strathclyde University, is very accessible. We have really good transport links, and we are right in the city centre of Glasgow. It's only around 20 minutes from Glasgow Airport. You can catch a train, a bus, you can catch a taxi or an Uber as well. So we are very well linked, and we also have various transport links if you are planning to live somewhere outside the city centre. We're also very close to various shopping centres. So there is a Buchanan shopping centre. It's really, really big one. It's one of the biggest one in the UK, if we are not counting London ones. We also have the full Buchanan Street of shops, from traditional Scottish shops to your more high-end brand shops as well. So I mentioned about the shops. We here at the city centre, we have a lot of green areas. So we also have a lot of kind of green spaces where you can sit when the weather is really nice and sunny around the campus. There's also a massive park just a few minutes walk called Glasgow Green. There are various events throughout the summer happening in the Glasgow Green as well. We have a lot of museums. Museums are free in Scotland as well, so you can just walk in and enjoy new culture. We also have, for those who are in the sports, two major football teams in the UK, Rangers and Celtic. So you can join either of the teams as well, and support them, or go and watch one of their games. And as I mentioned before, there is a lot of various food places, whether it's traditional Scottish, like haggis, or maybe fish and chips, to Japanese, Indian, Eastern European, and so on. You can go to other slide, please. Okay, so maybe around 20 minutes to half an hour on the bus. There is from Glasgow, there is a town called Falkirk, and we can see the Kelpies. So it's just kind of a piece of art that people go to see during when it's a bit darker. They're all light up different colours, and it's a really nice scenery. Buchanan Street, as I previously mentioned, is very vibrant. There is lots of food places and lots of various shops. Kelvin Grove Art Gallery and Riverside Museum, as I previously mentioned, are also free, and I would suggest you explore. Botanic Gardens sorry.
Actually, Ruta, it might be a good place for us to just go to Lean. Lean, if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about some of the things that you've enjoyed about the local area as a student. I don't know whether you've been to any of these places or did any of those. I know you get activities that you do with the centre during your induction.
So for me, I love art. I visited a couple of museums here, and it was an amazing experience. Also, there's a train station next to the university. I went to Edinburgh and I went to Balloch. We went kayaking, me and my friends. And it was such an amazing experience. And it wasn't really tiring. We went and then we got back in the same day. We went kayaking and started raining. It was amazing. And for me, when it comes, I'm addicted to shopping. So
Who is it?
sometimes I would go between my classes to the center just to buy like a few shirts. I would go to Primark, I would go to H&M, and I would visit it.
Mm-hmm.
And like for me, Glasgow is a city full of students. So when I meet anyone, I don't ask them about their age. I just ask them, what university are you in? Because it's full of students. It's a city where when you have finals, everyone in the city have finals, so you don't feel left out. And it's such a friendly city, especially when it comes to people. I never had a bad experience, and I made a lot of friends. Although it's my second year here, but I made friends that I can count on for life.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
So for
Great.
me, I love Glasgow. And I wouldn't change anything about it, to be honest.
even though it's a bit cold, but have you got used to this now?
Yeah, even the weather, like they told me like I should expect the weather in December or maybe in January to be kind of depressing. But because the campus is in the city center, so whenever I finish class, there's still movement. So you don't feel like you don't feel like you're missing the sun or anything.
Yeah.
It can be kind of not depressing, but kind of gloomy, but it has its own vibe, so I love it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like there's something
it's a
about, and
mood.
also, you carry on.
Like for me, the weather here, it's a mood. And when it's sunny, you find everyone in the park. Everyone's just chilling, playing some music and sitting. Even on campus, they're sitting on our park, like Strathclyde Park. And I was in the ISC center, and I felt included with the university students. We had access to the union, we had access to the sports center, we had access to groups and societies, and it was just amazing.
Thank you. That's really great. I think we can move on from this slide because I think you covered that absolutely amazingly
Yeah.
better than the pictures.
And for the students, they can find more pictures in Instagram.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, I posted few pictures there. So there's a lot of like me sharing my experience and other students sharing their experience on our Instagram.
Thanks, Lean. Okay, so we're going to talk now about just the average monthly spend. I might just ask you a question on that in a minute, Lean, but we'll just let Rita talk about that as an overall.
Yeah, thank you. Apologies for the fire alarm test. So it's just like kind of average spending that we estimate that you kind of take into consideration. So accommodation is around about £760 a month. We estimate that the groceries could be around about £55 a week. It just really depends where you shop. There are more high-end shops like Marks and Spencer's and more kind of budget-friendly like Lidl or Aldi as well. So it's pretty much subject to your habits. Transport, we estimate around about £57 a month. Again, if you would choose to live in a student accommodation, you'll be pretty close to the campus and within a walking distance. You might need to use money for your transport, but just in case, it is there to give you an idea. Mobile phone contract is around about £25 a month. It also it just depends whether or not you would like to take a contract or just buy top-ups. Eating out, round about £60. I would say £60 a time. So if you're going out together with your friend, I don't think you can spend £60 like on yourself, but if you're buying dinner for your friend, I would say the total bill is, the average is £60. Interest and hobbies, round about £40. Fitness, £13. So we have budget gyms, 24-hour gyms as well, going on like Pure Gym, round about city centre of Glasgow. We also have Strath Union Gym that you are able to join. And clothing would be £46 as well. But again, this for the prices of the stuff depends on your lifestyle. So maybe I'll let Lean to share her experience about prices in Glasgow.
Yeah, how have you found budgeting, Lean? For how long have you been here now? 2 years or 3 years?
2 years, yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
for me, for the first year, I kind of struggled with budgeting, but now I can manage. For me, when it comes to rent, for my first year, I was in a student accommodation given by the ISC.
Yeah.
I had access to sports union with my rent, so I didn't pay for a gym or anything.
Oh, the gym is amazing. I actually got a tour of it the other week.
The
So
gym
good.
is amazing. This year, I have my own flat,
Right.
but I paid for the gym for a whole year. It was £163, so it's almost £13 a month. For societies, there's like it varies. Some societies, the membership can go from £1 to £3. But for the sports societies, it can go from £18 to £30 per year. Other than that, food, takeout, not groceries. We're talking if like you want to go out, if you want to order food, if you just want to have a chill night. I think per person, it depends. It can be £15 per person. For my rent and my electricity, having a flat can be a bit more expensive than student accommodation.
Mm.
And also it varies like about the location. Where do you decide to live? So I was in a student accommodation for the first year. I was in Buchanan View.
Yeah.
It was kind of a good distance walking to the university. It was a 12-minute walk from the accommodation to the university. And it wasn't that expensive. It was $150 per week, including rent. So it was perfect.
Yeah.
Even here, it's almost the same price, but with electricity, it's a bit higher.
Yeah.
But other than that, Glasgow prices, or like Scotland's prices, compared to any other prices, for example, Manchester, London, or Nottingham, I have friends there. When we talk about it, it's way cheaper than England in general.
Yeah, you're right. That's one
Like
of the reasons.
what I pay in a month, my friends pay it in a week for accommodation in London.
Yeah.
Which is
crazy. Yeah.
Compared
to London, right? Yeah. Oh, really great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
There was one thing that I was, so the other thing that you get as well for being a student is you get lots of discounts, don't you? So like the shops will give you like between 10 to 20% off. You can buy your drinks and your coffees and things like that in the student union. So that's a lot cheaper than if you were getting those outside. Do you get a lot of discounts, and do you use those discounts?
There's a lot of discounts for students here, even when it comes to groceries, when it comes to H&M shopping, when it comes to even if you want to go out like with your friends, a night out or whatever, you have a lot of places they have free entry for students before midnight. Other than that, there's different apps, there's uni days that provide a lot of discount, whether it was online shopping or Uber Eats, anything. So you have a lot of access to stuff, even if you don't think you can put it in your budget. But with the student discount, it can be really, like, it can suit any lifestyle you want.
Yes. Yeah. And the ISC, they can help you and support you and like with
of
things
course.
like that about how to access things. Yeah.
And then we had a class last year. It's called Skills for Success. Some of the classes, they taught us about budgeting and how to make a budget planner. They helped us a lot. We had a class in Skills for Success. They showed us which is a good grocery shop, which is a cheap one, where to choose, where to get your meat from. And even in one of the slides, they had the section for halal food for all kinds of students. And they showed us our options. And from that moment, I knew which grocery shop I should go to. So like they helped us a lot. They guided us where to go.
Yeah.
When it comes to prices, yeah, it was amazing.
Thank you. That's really useful, because I think that that's those are the sorts of things that really as a student you kind of want to know, don't you? And like how you're going to manage it all and be independent and be an adult and sort all these things out, because that might not be anything you've had to do before. Okay, great. Thank you. I think we can move on to the next slide now, Ben. Great. So yeah, it's back to me to just talk to you a little bit about the University of Strathclyde. Okay, so if you haven't already done your research on the University of Strathclyde, there's just some nice key facts for you here. I think, as you know by now, the university is located in the city centre of Glasgow. The International Study Centre is on campus. The university is over 200 years old. It has a really great history. And it's very highly ranked. So they have over 20 subjects that are within the top 10 ranking of the Times and the Sunday Times Good University Guide. That's the ranking that all students here domestically will use. It's also very well recognised internationally as well. They've just recently won an award by a newspaper that is one of the most read newspapers in the whole of the UK, called the Daily Mail. I don't know whether you've heard of that or not, but when you come to the UK you certainly will see it. And they've just been ranked University of the Year for Scotland. for the Daily Mail. So they've also won the Queen's Anniversary Prize twice. So lots of really good awards. Their rankings are really great. And one of the things that I noticed the most when I did a campus tour recently is the investment that they're doing in their facilities. So they've invested over 1 billion, and all of the areas in the campus are all feeling the benefit of that investment, and they've got some really top class facilities now for their students. I was absolutely blown away by the gym, the new swimming pool. The gym was huge. There were so many people in it. The equipment was amazing. The sound system was great. And as Lean said, it's £13 a month. I was like, wow, you know, if I had my time again of choosing a university, I know that I would certainly be thinking about joining Strathclyde. Okay, so just a few more facts there. One of the things, I don't know what you're coming to study, but if you're coming to study business, they have a triple accredited business school. So that's a very hard rating to get. There's only a very small number of universities in the UK and business schools that actually have that. So that means 3 accrediting bodies have accredited the business school. So the quality of the tuition, the lecturers, the graduate outcomes that the students get from the business school, that's got that triple accreditation there. The Faculty of Engineering, and that has over 900 industry projects going, 50 projects with small, medium-sized enterprises. So if you're going to go to study engineering, then you'll have lots of access to those industries and potential to start looking at, okay, what is my career going to be? What is my next step going to be? And how you want to follow that through into a job after you've finished your studies. And equally, you will be connected with those companies as well. They've got the top 10 best student union in the UK. Actually, Lean, it might be nice to just hear about the student union from you and some of the societies and the clubs that you've been part of or joined.
So our union is really huge and it's really nice, and it's 2 buildings connected. You have the learning and teaching building and you have the union. They're connected to one huge building. There's amazing spaces for you to study or even just to chill with your friends. In the union, we have more than one cafe that gives amazing coffee. And then you go upstairs. It's basically 2 floors, the union. You go upstairs, there's a terrace, there's a bar, and sometimes they screen on a projector games. We attended all the World Cup games on the terrace with a lot of people, and a lot of people were cheering, a lot of people were screaming. It was amazing. Sometimes we used to go to student experience and beg them for extra 5 minutes so we can go watch the game, and they would just laugh at us. It was amazing. Other than that, the food is really good, and they have variety of food. They have street food. They have there's like a cafeteria for sandwiches if you want something to eat on the go. They have amazing truffle fries. It's my favorite. I always go and order truffle fries there. It's amazing. What else? In the union, they always, like, every month there's a new thing, a new event. You have, like, yesterday they had a vintage sale. Last month they had opportunity fair and a poster fair. We went there and we got a lot of posters. We hung them in our flat, all over the flat. It was amazing. They have a lot in the union to offer, and when it comes to societies, there's always a society fair where you go, and a lot of students, they just set up a table so you can get to know more about the society. I actually joined 3 societies. I joined the Art and Crafts. I joined MUN, which is Model UN. That's somehow close to my major. And I joined Politics and History Society. And we have a lot of society. We even have Harry Styles Society and Taylor Swift Society. And they always do socials and events in the union, in the venue. It's just amazing. You have to go check it out someday.
Yeah, I've sat in there, I've done work in there, and I've enjoyed some of the lovely coffee, and I did buy some cakes from a bake sale once.
Yeah, it's really nice. And even we have a shop where you get hoodies from.
I've
So
got my
I got like
hoodie.
2
I should have worn it today, shouldn't I?
Mine is in the room. I was wearing it yesterday.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's one of my most comfy hoodies. Oh, lovely. Thank you so much. That's great,
You're
Lee.
welcome.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we're just going to tell you a bit about the campus and just show you where we're located.
Okay, so we can see that we are kind of big university, so all different buildings, and we are a number 17 mark in red. So we are right on the main street called George Street as well. All your classes will be in the same building and the same floor. So Graham Hill's building, 8th floor. However, when you go out to your respective degrees after finishing at Strathclyde ISC, you can be in one of the buildings around the kind of campus area. Thank you.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, this is still you just talking about the study centre.
Okay. So in the International Study Centre, we want you very much to succeed in your studies. So we do provide individual support. So whether or not you maybe are struggling a little bit with English, maths, anything at all, please don't hesitate and let us know. We can arrange plus classes to help you to progress. We can arrange additional support with exams, anything like that at all. We do pay attention. So that in terms of progression support, we do have our learning development available. That's a one-to-one support with one of the academic staff. In the event where you have a welfare issue and would like to speak to a member of staff, we have a welfare officer, Ellen. She's very experienced in this area and will be able to help you. Social events and activities. So Lane was also class representative last year. So she was involved in kind of getting feedback from the students, presenting that in staff students liaison committee. So this is another way how we improved your learning experience. Also, we organized boat trips. We went on a tour around Glasgow city centre. We had pizza parties, graduations, and this year as well, we're already planning big trips. Halloween is coming up, so we're planning a little crafts event as well. So, yeah, this is what we do here at Strathclyde ISC.
Thanks, Rita. Lean, how was your experience at the International Study Centre? What do you think you got out of your programme that has helped you the most now you've progressed into the university?
So there's a lot of things helped me, but one thing that actually showed me that I chose ISC and it was my right decision. Basically, I'm diabetic. So I've been diabetic for the past 5 years. And I had a lot of ups and downs, especially that it was my first year and I'm an only child and I was homesick all the time.
Oh.
So for my well-being, it was at first it was kind of really hectic for me, and getting the right GP and getting the right support, it was a mess at first. But then when I went into ISC and when I started my classes, I met Ellen. And there was another welfare officer or like a student experience team. Her name was Hani. They both helped me a lot when it comes to my physical and mental health. And I got through it. And now now I know my doctors, I know my GP, and I got everything figured out. And if I need anything, especially like if I needed anything last year, or like whenever I felt down, Ellen was one call away. I used to call her and I would just call her just to rant and cry, and then I would just take an appointment with her the next day, and I would go to her office, and then she would guide me and tell me what to do. And when it comes to social, we had a graduation last year, and there was amazing food, amazing, like they gave us certificate because every student had some achievements they did. They gave certificate to everyone. We also had, for Halloween last year, we decorated cookies. You can still see them on the Instagram. It was amazing, and the cookies tasted so good. We had a lot of socials. There was a trip to Edinburgh. We went and played bowling in the center. All of this with the ISC. So especially being a class representative, I felt more involved with the university and more involved with the center, because I was the connection between the students and the staff. So it was an amazing experience for me. And I think anyone who's joining the ISC, they should apply to be a class representative. And even the ISC, they made us more involved, and they gave us amazing opportunities like the Global Student Ambassador program. So they sent us a link, and they all like encouraged us to apply. And then a lot of us got in, and like till this day, you still post on the Ambassador app, and they can still take the pictures there and repost it on Instagram. And whenever like the ISC posts a picture on Instagram, all the students, they feel so proud and they feel so good. Like, yes, we made it on the Instagram app. So it's just a really amazing experience. You feel more involved. You don't feel like you're a student just sitting in a desk and learning. Even for my first year, our law tutor, his name was Craig. He took us on a court visit. We saw the sheriff court, we saw the high court, we entered them. We heard a lot of cases, we talked to the officers. So you feel more involved. You're not just sitting on a desk and learning.
Mhm.
You're going out there, you're discovering the city, you're discovering the history and everything. So it was just amazing. So I really like that they're encouraging us to go outside, to discover more, to learn more, not just to sit. So
Yeah,
yeah, that was my experience.
that's lovely. Thank you. Really
You're
lovely to hear your experience. So we're going to pass to Alex now. He's just going to tell you about the accommodation.
Thanks, Gemma. So yes, as mentioned previously, Central Student Support is your point of contact for accommodation-related queries. If you have confirmed your place on your and you're joining us in November, then we will have already gotten in touch with you to invite you to apply for this accommodation that you're seeing now. This is what we're currently offering. This is our provider called Student Roost. We work with them in several locations across the country, and they are really great. And we've worked for them for years now, so we can say with confidence that it's a really good experience if you take a room there. So we'll give you information on what is available at the time, and we'll give you information on how to apply. And it's nice and easy if you're doing it through us. So this is Merchant Studios. As the name would imply, it is all studio rooms. So every room there has its own little kitchen area and private bathrooms, so you wouldn't need to share either of those areas with any other flatmates. As you can see in the pictures there, you've also got some communal areas, so seating in a pool and gym and entertainment areas as well. So those would be shared with other people, and that's where you'd be making your friends and hanging out with them as well. And as you can see there on the left, you've got just a breakdown of how far away the accommodation is. So it's only a 5-minute walk from the ISC and 4 minutes to the nearest train station, a minute walk to the nearest convenience. There's loads of shops around. It's surrounded by everything you could need, really, and it's walking distance between many other shops, restaurants, parks, cinemas, and museums. Included in the, there's just a few things there mentioned: laundry facilities, high-speed Wi-Fi, and social events run by the accommodation. That's all included in your rent cost, as is utilities. So there wouldn't be anything extra that you would need to pay besides the rents there. If we could go on to the next one, I'm not sure if I've got another one actually. That's all me. So if you've got any questions about the accommodation at all, get in touch with the Strathclyde isc.css@studygroup.com. And if you are thinking of joining us in January, we will be in touch with you nearer the time with what the most up-to-date information is about accommodation we're offering. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Okay, so yeah, we're almost finished at the end, so I think we'll just go through these quickly. Thanks, Ben. Okay, so if you are joining us in November, then we call this an enhanced induction. So what you have is you have 3 weeks of learning about life, getting some extra language tuition, and some life skills in there, digital skills as well, your digital literacy skills. So you do that for 3 weeks, but you don't start your academic modules or your academic English until January. So when the intake starts for the students that are going to be arriving in January, you fold into that intake. You don't have to repeat your induction because obviously you've done a 3-week inductions in November. So the January students will do that for 2 weeks, but you will then start your academic and your English studies alongside those students there. So the confirmation and payment deadline, you'll need to just check when it is for, if you're looking to start in November, and the programme start date for that course is the 27th of November. So you do the enhanced induction from the 27th to the 15th. Then you have your Christmas holiday break, which is for the whole of the UK. And then, you start again in January, your academic modules and your academic English modules. This is just a bit about what you do in those additional 3 weeks. As I've said, digital skills, you get extra language tuition, so you get to practice that with the other students. You get extra time to sort of adapt to life in the UK and just feel more confident and better prepared for the start of your academic study. The scholarships that I said at the beginning. So we have joint scholarships available. If you are still looking and you need a bit of support with a scholarship, so you haven't quite yet confirmed your place because you want to do that, then we have £2,500, which is available to discount from the price of the programme. And then depending on what degree you're going to study will be the faculty that you will be in. So if you're going to do computer science, for example, you would be in the Faculty of Science there. If you're going to do chemical engineering, you'd be in the Faculty of Engineering. If you're going to do international relations and politics, you'd be in the Faculty of Humanities and Science, Social Sciences. And if you're going to be doing anything business related, accounting, finance, economics, you would be in the Strathclyde Business School. So as long as you are meeting your academic progression requirements, so these are the results that you'll need to get at the end of your programme, then you will be automatically awarded the discount that you can see there when you go into your undergraduate degree, and that will roll on each year as long as you are meeting those academic entry requirements. Okay, and just to briefly cover over your next steps. So yeah, once you confirm your place, you'll get access to your Welcome Hub. So you'll receive a link. That link will come through by an email. And within that link, you'll have all the information that you need, and then the link that you need to go to for the Welcome Hub, which is a separate web page. And you will have a login there. So a username and a password, and that username and password is what you will use to complete your pre-registration form. So use that, and that's how you access the pre-registration form. If you've got any issues with the username and the password, it's not working for you, or you haven't received that email yet about your Welcome Hub, then do contact Strathclyde isc.css@studygroup.com. As I talked about, you will need to tell us what you're doing with your insurance. You're either going to find your own, or you will use the study care insurance that you can have added to your offer letter. And if you are not choosing to take out insurance, and then you'll just need to tell us that. And then you'll need to attend your pre-arrival event. So this is for all students that have confirmed their place and are ready to join. And once you've had that access to your Welcome Hub email, you'll then get an email about attending the pre-arrival event. So it's a webinar like you've done today, except it will be more specific on all of the things that you then need to do to arrive and start your program. So you get introduced to the ISC team. Obviously you've met Ruta today. They'll tell you a bit more about what you need to pack, what you're going to do in your induction. They'll introduce you to the virtual learning environment. So that's the platform that you will use when you are here to access your course materials, submit your assignments and things like this. Reach out to your tutors. So that's the platform there. They'll teach you about that, what money you should bring with you to watch out for scams and fraud. You're a bit more about the accommodation, some of the events and activities that we've been through quite a bit today, and the equipment that you'll need. So the laptop that you'll need to bring with you as well. Okay, so one of the things we do have available for University of Strathclyde is the ability to be able to book a meeting with the centre staff. So what you can do is, if you've come out of this webinar today and think, oh, I've got a few more questions, and actually I'm not sure if I'm quite ready yet to join, and I want to talk a little bit more to the centre staff, then you can do that. So some of the things that you could talk to the centre staff about, you might have questions about visa, about scholarships, about the equipment that you need to bring with you. You might have questions about your timetable, types of modules you're going to be learning. You might have questions about, well, how do I get a job after this? What sort of skills am I going to be learning that helps me get a career? What are the work placements that I could possibly be getting? You might want to know a bit more about the accommodation, or you might just want to have a little bit more information about student life, although I think today you've probably got a really good insight into that from all the lovely things that Lean has been able to tell us. Well, if you still have some more questions, you can just talk to the centre staff. So you can use that link there. And you can just scan that QR code. Equally, if you go on to our website, the ISC website, there is a page there on how you can book your online meeting with the centre staff. Lean's told you about the Student Ambassador Programme, so it's a really great programme, and if you are somebody that would like to share your experiences, put out your content, join a webinar like this, support other students, then it's a really good programme to join. So have a look at our Facebook, have a look at our Instagram, see some of the things that our students are sharing. And there's our useful links. So thanks very much for joining us today. I hope that was useful for you. Thank you so much, Lean, for all of your wonderful insights. It just makes me want to be a student all over again. Wish that I could be. Thank you very much, Ruta and Alex. I have been answering some of the questions that have been in the Q&A. I've been trying to type some of the answers as we've been going, but some of the questions I think might be easier for me to answer live. And actually one of them, Ruta, I just want to ask you, is how many days per week are classes?
So, good, excellent question, and I am still the one who is responsible for timetabling at Strathclyde ISC. So we expect you to be available 5 days a week, 9 to 5. So although you might not have classes every day, you might only have maybe a couple of classes a day, but you must be available to us 5 days a week, so Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So it could be, the classes could be scheduled anywhere within those days and those times.
Lovely. Thank you, Ruta. I'm just typing a question now to a student that's applied to our International Year 2 business. I think our admissions team needed to get back to them about their current visa because they were on a Tier 2 dependent visa. So what I'm just typing to you now is if you can just send me your student ID. So that's a 6-digit number. It should begin with a 2. What I'll do is I'll have a look up on the system just to see where you're at with us doing that assessment of your current visa. And yeah, I'll get the admissions team to come back to you. So if you wouldn't mind just typing me that number in. Okay, that's that one done. Then I've got a question about fixed deposit account to be used to show bank statements, and can I use a relative's bank statement if they sign an affidavit signing that they are willing to cover my living expenses? Yes, so there are ways in which you would have a sponsor that would be able to support you in terms of your living costs. It's different per country on what's allowed. So my advice would be, if you are using an education agent, is that you check this with the education agent. If you have applied directly and you are being supported by one of our student enrolment advisors, this is a question you can ask them. They will be able to look that up in a bit more detail for you. And if you're not using either of those, but you are connected with our admissions team, then you can ask our admissions team about that as well. So we will have all your detail on there in terms of what your nationality is and your country of residence. So I think either reaching out to your education agent, to your student enrolment advisor, or to our admissions service. Equally, you might be connected with one of our recruitment managers. So they are our local representatives in your country, and you might have been at an event or another webinar where you've got their contact number. So because they're local and in your area, they will be able to support you with that. So when it comes to the CAS for the okay, so I think I've answered this one, but I can just answer it live because sometimes it's easier to hear an answer, isn't it, than to read it. So yes, if you are coming for a pre-master's programme, actually this would apply for any programme at the International Study Centre, is that you get a CAS which is issued from us study group who run the International Study Centre. And then once you've completed your programme, you've met your progression requirements. So your progression requirements are the overall score that you need to get academically and the overall scores that you need to get for your English. You might have some subjects with specific scores as well to meet your progression. So you get those, and then you're able to get an unconditional offer letter for the University of Strathclyde. So if you're doing a pre-master's programme, which is from our student here that's asked this question, then your unconditional offer letter will be for your master's. And when you get that, you'll then get another CAS, which will come from the university. And this is what you will use to make a secondary application, which extends your visa for the further year to complete your programme. And obviously, if you're going to be on an undergraduate programme, then that would be for a further 3 or 4 years, dependent on the degree that you're going to be studying. Some degrees are 4 years long. So yes, you would need to make 2 applications. One when you get here for the International Study Centre on the CAS that we provide you. Then when you go to the university, the new CAS that you get from the university, you extend your visa. So you make a secondary application to extend your visa on that new CAS. And you've got the same question there about the relative bank statement. Again, yes, that is possible in terms of sponsorship to support you with your living costs, but I would advise that you reach out to somebody just to double check from the country that you're in, what the amounts are and how all of that works, because it is different per country. Are you able to connect displaced students with external support organisations? Oh, Ruta, that's probably one I would ask you about, actually, because I wouldn't know. So I think when you say displaced student, I'm assuming you meaning from the country that you're coming from, that you would be displaced. Yeah. Do we support students in that way? So perhaps if they were coming from Afghanistan or somewhere like that? And
sorry, I don't understand the question.
I think what they mean is if they're coming from a country where they're not able to return to that country, so therefore they become a displaced student, so they've come here to study but then they can't return home, is there support from the university and they can reach out about their situation? Have you ever experienced that in the International Study Centre?
I've never experienced that, so I am afraid I can't answer this question just now. I would need
No, that's all right. I can't either. So I haven't either.
Find out more information about that.
Yeah, so sorry, we can't answer that one for you today. But I think what we can do is, Ruta, if you wouldn't mind just perhaps connecting with somebody that's maybe been there a bit longer, or some of our university contacts, just to find out a little bit about what we would do to support a student that perhaps wouldn't be able to return. That would be really great. Yeah, So Malak, if you wouldn't mind just typing your email in, and then once we've got a bit more information about how we would support a student in that situation, then we'll come back to you. Okay, so for people who start in November, when do we receive our timetables and how? Ruta, our timetable expert.
So you'll receive your timetable on your first kind of day on induction. The timetable will be relevantly simple. It's because it's your extended learning support, I think it's now called. In November, it's extended. Gemma, how are we calling November?
Oh, enhanced.
Enhanced, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Enhanced. Yeah, so every day you'll be doing different kind of activities. So you'll receive it on your first day of arrival.
Yep, so you receive it first day of arrival. Oh, lovely. Thank you for giving me your email there, Malak. That's great. Let me just write that down so I don't lose it. Okay, and I've got the ID as well from the other student that I'm supporting to look up. Okay, lovely. So I think we've reached the end now. Thank you so much for your kind attention today, all of the really great questions. And I know that we are really looking forward to you joining us in the International Studies Centre. So I'll just let my colleagues say goodbye, and then we'll let you get on with the rest of your days.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Goodbye, and get in touch with us at Central Student Support if you've got any questions.
Thanks, Alex.
We'll look forward to having you in the centre, and goodbye for now.
And Lean, thank you so much for all your wonderful contributions. It's really great to have you.
You're so welcome. And I hope people enjoyed what I said and when I shared my experience with them.
100%.
Thank you
I
so
loved
much.
it. Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.